speaking from experience. So if you've ever been to couples therapy, you've probably heard of the term I feel statements. This basically means that you are speaking only to the experience that you have, rather than trying to speak on an objective truth about an issue. So in other words, in every conversation you have with your spouse is going to have a perspective, and you're going to have a slightly different perspective. And two things can be true at once. Your spouse can truly believe that her perspective is right, and you can truly believe that your perspective is right. And so who's actually right? Most of the times it turns out that you're both a little bit right and a little bit not right. And so the best way to go about having a conversation and trying to come to some middle ground is to only speak on the part that you know is right. And that's your personal experience. That's your emotions, it's your thoughts, it's what you did, rather than turning the blame on your spouse or trying to assign some responsibility to your spouse. So for example, let's say you guys are having a disagreement about who's supposed to take the dog out in the morning. Maybe you slept in and forgot to take the dog out and it was your turn. And your spouse says, why are you doing this? I really need you to help me because I'm busy in the mornings getting ready for work and I need you to do this. Well, maybe this morning you were exhausted and you really needed the extra 5 minutes of sleep. You were up late last night doing some work or catching up on something. To speak to your experience means to say that, honestly, I was just really tired and I know I dropped the ball. I know it was my turn. I'm sorry that I didn't have the foresight last night, but I've honestly just been so swamped at work. As opposed to saying something like, you aren't as busy as me right now. You know I have a lot going on at work and really you should just be taking out the dog, or it shouldn't be that big of a deal. It's just 5 minutes. So instead of saying what your spouse should be feeling, what your spouse should be doing, instead speaking to what you know to be true 100%, which is what's currently going through your head, how you're currently feeling, because everything else is to some degree left up to some interpretation. And to be humble enough to recognize that means that we're going to be humble enough to then want to come to some sort of middle ground with our spouse and reconcile over the issue and find a way to move forward. I found in my own marriage that as soon as I'm willing to be more humble and recognize that I might not actually be 100% right all of the time, yeah, that's tough. It's really hard to say, yeah, sometimes I'm wrong or sometimes I'm not completely right. But as soon as we can accept that, we're able to move forward and have a productive conversation.